Welcome to the No Script Show. The last 2 weeks have been completely my fault, and I'll accept all the white guilt concomitant to the fact that I didn't actually record anything.
White guilt.
I'm the guiltiest white man on the podcast right now. I'm Wogan, joined by Wotan. Hello.
We only have one white man on the podcast right
I
now.
know.
Well,
So by
now.
definition, by definition, I'm always the guiltiest. You're right. Yeah, it's like my personal economy has been busy. I've worked like a month and a half in the last 3 weeks, kind of thing, workload wise. So
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you taking a load off, bud.
yeah, I'm still do that. The admin has piled up. Like I spent the whole day now just kind of going back through like emails and bank reconciliation, dude. It's the most fun you'll ever have as a freelancer. Is linking every cent out of your account to an invoice. Fuck, it's such a pain. But I'm here, and the South Africa hasn't imploded yet, and winter is here. And how the hell are you doing?
I'm a little ill, but otherwise I'm good. I'm also, just chilling.
I forgot what that's like. Like the last 2 weeks have been anti-chill.
Dude, today I'm chilling. The last week I've been working myself to death as well. Probably not as hard as you, obviously, but you know.
Yeah, it's rough on everyone. Especially, and this is, I'm conflicted about this. Multichoice is laying off like 2,300 people, and you look at the headline.
Oh no!
And it's like, shit, that's actually quite a huge knock. And then it's like, who are they laying off? All the people in customer service. And I'm kind of like, you played yourself. I mean, like, I don't know when last you've had to deal with multi-choice customer service.
I don't even like. It's been a long time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's like my dad has DSTV. I think he's one of the few people in my orbit that actually still pays for DSTV, and even he wants to cancel now. But every time I ask him about it, there's always a customer service hassle, and he can like never get the right answer, etc., etc. So it's like, it sucks that you guys are losing so many jobs, and it sucks that MultiChoice just kind of sat on their ass and watched Netflix come in and did nothing about it. But also, it's like, if you guys were like doing your jobs as customer support reps, maybe people wouldn't be so eager to cancel your shit. And I'm just like, this is how I feel about it. Like, it's just kind of like,
Steve Hoffmeyr fanboys are jacking it right now. They're just losing their minds. Just in my pants. They're dead.
Did he did that, what was that thing, like, he was offering a
He's
reward.
Gonna build his own DSTV, bro.
No, fuck, I do not want to see that shit. I just don't. No. It's like, I'm trying to, what would that even look like?
Yes.
Hoffmeyr.
Enough kids, customers for his service, so.
Dude, I don't know. Wasn't he offering a reward for people to like burn their DSTV decoders? And there was like a whole thing where people were buying their decoders and shit. Like there was this whole, I think it went up to 20,000 at one point. I just saw like the reward had increased. I'm just like, this is so stupid. This whole thing is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I think because I've been working for so long, I realized the other day that like the last couple of episodes we did, a lot of it was basically just whatever was trending on Twitter that week. Because like we're both on Twitter, and it's like whatever kind of comes through forms the basis for the show. But the last 2 weeks, I've been absorbed in like Laravel and SQL and like shitloads of data and accounting and like late nights and deadlines and go lives, and it's like I actually have no fucking idea what's going on anymore. Which is actually, it's probably why I feel so happy. I just don't
probably. Well, I can bring you up to speed.
I don't know if I want you to. I'm just like, let me enjoy this. But all right,
I can tell you that Donald Trump did not start a war with Iran.
What?
And now people are pissed with him for not going to war with Iran.
But like last I remember, everyone was like, Trump is going to start World War III, and that's the big fear. And now, like, he's not, and people are mad about that.
Low key. Well, okay. Here's the rundown. Okay. Low key, sort of quick rundown. Apparently, Iran attacked some tankers in the Gulf of Oman. Some oil tankers they attacked. They've been talking big on social media and shit. pretty much just talking smack. Now, do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Iran really attacked that tanker? No, but we do know that they shot down, I think, like an unmanned drone or something of the US that was flying around.
I did see that because someone forwarded it to me on WhatsApp and was like, "Here we go." And I'm like, "Here we go for what?" Because like they shot down a drone that they claimed was in their airspace, and the US was like, "No, it wasn't." And I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And then like, what? Nothing happened. Like end of the day.
Yeah, well, it came down to the Donald making the choice, and this is in his words, making the choice to retaliate with a strike, and he said in his words, hold on, yes, the generals, they came to me. I asked them how many people are going to get hurt from this. They said, sir, probably about 150. I said, no, we're not going to do the strike. I'm the best at not doing strikes. Everybody. Anyway, so thank you. Anyway, the so he didn't retaliate. He made it very public that he didn't retaliate. At the cost of 150 people, which many people would say is a good move.
I'm on board with not killing people. Yes.
Now, oddly enough, the Democrats and a whole bunch of no-war Republicans that have suddenly gone super pro-war, in other words, neocons, are losing their minds. Donald, you should have attacked. Donald, you should have. And the most disappointing for me was Ben Shapiro. I'm like, dude, you going full neocon. He's like, no, we should have escalated with even more force to warn them off. Yes, because killing 100 people and escalating the force with which you retaliate is definitely going to ward off war. You know what? I'm a big fan of Ben, but Ben, if you're that keen, how about you enlist? How about you go serve? I'm catching so much flack on Twitter for this. Like people are like, oh, Wotan, no, but Iran is starting shit. I don't care how much shit they're starting. It's not worth another war.
Part of being the world's police is knowing when to not beat somebody that you can easily crush because you know it's going to be a bloodbath. Like so seriously, there are people upset with the fact that America is not invading another country right now. Like, is that where we are? Because
yes.
Wow. Just wow.
Yep.
Because of course, no. I mean, like logically, every conflict throughout history was solved by escalating it. That's how it works, right?
The Donald's like, our military's. He even tweeted it. He's like, our military's strong again. It's been remodeled, brand new, better than what Obama did. I have nothing to fear. We could easily crush it, which is true.
But also, it's like Trump hasn't gone to war yet. Like, I don't think since he was elected.
Nope.
Like,
he hasn't ended any wars, but he's definitely not started any new ones.
And he just also now took the path of not starting some more shit, that didn't need to be started. So it's like Trump might be the most peaceful
are genuine. Well, I would like to remind you, people are genuinely upset about this.
I agree with you. I feel if they feel that strongly about it, anyone can enlist, pick up a rifle, and fly overseas. Go do it. Like, don't make it our problem.
About this, U.S. Army, U.S. Marines. There's a bunch of South Africans who are war thirsty. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Enlist them. Give them citizenship. You boys go drop into fucking dusty butt fucking Iran and fight random guerrillas and step on IEDs.
Yeah,
like,
I
come
mean,
on.
like it's exactly like playing a video game, right? You can just opt out at any point. Like you can start the shit, and then if you lose, you can just hit reset because that's how real life works. No.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I would fully support anyone's freedom of choice to go and fight the war that they think the US should fight. Go do it. Like,
go ahead, guys. And the weird thing about this is that, to me, is that it's almost as if people are like construe this not being against the war as some form of cowardice. Cowardice is not wanting to fight. It's not wanting to fight when it matters. This doesn't matter, guys. This could literally just fucking haul ass, take their warships out of that area, and this conflict would be over. Iran couldn't do shit.
I would actually argue it's probably an even bigger display of strength when like somebody punches you and you're like, okay, and then you just do nothing. Like you know that you could completely wipe them if you wanted, but you don't
In,
because
insert anime trope here where the big bad guy gets like some beam or punch and he just like looks at the character and walks away, you know.
yeah, it's just like try again, sport. I mean, it's pretty much. It's almost as if he's treating them like North Korea, because North Korea keeps goading the US into conflict, and the US just like never takes the bait. Like, I like the thought.
Like, come in.
I just like the thought of them being like, Iran is like, yeah, we don't take you seriously anymore. Like, yeah, you can shit on a drone, it's cool. Like, we're not gonna, you're not gonna provoke
Oh,
us into
that
a
drone
riot.
like that. Yeah, like that. What 20? How much was a drone? Like, how much are drones? I have no idea. But it's
No,
like
those predators are expensive. But like the whole point of actually, it wasn't even a predator. Sorry, it was a surveillance drone. So it's probably like an
yeah,
unarmed
it's
UAV.
like a surveillance drone. They're like, oh, that's cool. Whatevs.
I would love it if it was like a consumer grade camera drone. Like because can you imagine how difficult it would be for a missile to hit that, first of all? And then secondly, how much
Yes.
like we almost caused World War III because someone shot down like a flying GoPro. I just think that would be quite entertaining. It would fit completely in with everything else going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, we might as well, right? let's go to war over a fucking flying GoPro, as you said.
All right, so I'm glad that war didn't start in the 2 weeks that I was absent. So I should actually say the one thing that I have done for myself lately, which after much frustration, and I'm never using Remakes Global Shopper again, my God, I finally got my Oculus Quest VR headset a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like,
So the porn is that good.
yes, and the rest of the content that you're actually supposed to use it for. All I'm going to say is that once again, Pornhub is ahead of the curve here. And I think I've said that before. That's what I'm going to say. But no,
Yes.
but it's like, it's crazy how well refined it is. I mean, I remember when the development kit 1 dropped, like the first version with, this thick ass cables and it was like a huge schlep. They've refined it now to the point where it's like, you can pull it on your head and be ready to go in less than 10 seconds. That's the part that still gets me. It's like, it's right now, it's sitting in my lounge. I can just walk there, pull it on, it automatically powers up. I've got the controllers, I'm in a game. Like, it's that quick. It's good enough for casual play. There's no hectic setup. There's nothing like you don't need to be an expert in anything. It's completely casual. And that's the part that I love about it.
That's pretty impressive.
The next impressive part is their Guardian system. I keep raving about it because it's really, because to me, it's like, I'm not an expert in machine vision, but I know how difficult the problem is to have a computer know where it is in a physical space. The way that they built this is just like, I'm still blown away by it. They use machine vision to keep track of where you are in the room around you, and you can just configure your play space by marking out like a grid on the floor, and then it'll just know where the floor is, and it knows where you are inside that space at all times. So there's no like beacons or tags or machine legible code or any other devices. It's just the thing knows where you are in a room. Provided it's moderately well lit, you're okay. And I'm just like, again, this is exactly what you need for consumers who aren't going to like position a tag on a wall somewhere or put a box down that the machine can ping it. Like, no, it's just, oh, this is your lounge. Cool. Just draw out your play area and you're done. It's like, okay. No, dude, I'm loving it. It's like, this is the one that was worth waiting for.
I'm just blown away by, like, as you're describing this, I'm trying to imagine the kind of discipline interlocked disciplines that had to work together to try to produce such good machine vision.
Dude, and the other thing is the whole, like, I've played it now. I've literally drained the battery twice from full charge to 0. That's the one thing. There's a lot of computation going on. So the battery does last. It lasts like 3.5 hours, I think, depending on what you're doing. But I've played it through twice, and the whole time I've played it, I had exactly half a second of lag when a big game finished installing. The rest of the time, it's been a consistent 72 frames per second, and the head tracking is flawless. Like, it tracks with your head precisely. There's no like move and then lag. It just moves. I don't know what black magic John Carmack is pulling off at Oculus, but it's amazing. So I was like,
That is incredible.
I know, dude. It actually,
Absolutely incredible.
there's one of the games you can buy. It's like $10. They've got a Star Wars thing there, and it's like this experience. I mean, the whole thing's like 30 minutes, and it's like you're in a ship, and then you kind of get to like an Imperial base somewhere. But there's a sequence where you have to climb up through a bunch of ladders, and you actually do it by using the controllers and grabbing the handles in VR.
Holy shit!
The immersion is such. The immersion is so well done that I actually started feeling vertigo in the game. Like as I kind of pulled over a ledge, I actually felt vertigo like inside the game itself. And it's like to pull that off, you need the amount of work to pull it off is just like I'm just astonished at how well they did this. So yeah, from a tech perspective, it's a breakthrough, and the whole thing fits on your head, no cables. You charge it like you do a smartphone. I mean, like what the hell? This is where we are now. We're in the future, man.
That is, wow.
I know. So yeah, it's like I think casual VR gaming is here now. It's just the price has to drop a bit, and like I think that whatever next version they bring out will probably be the one that goes properly mass market. But this is pretty damn good, worth every cent, definitely.
What a time to be alive.
Tell me about it.
Dude.
So, one of the apps that you can buy there is basically Street View. Like you can actually do like Street View VR. So you could bring up a map and pick a point on Earth and then load up Street View. So the first thing I did was I loaded up the road outside my complex just to see it. And it's like, next thing I'm standing in my living room.
Peak gamer.
So, of course. And I'm standing there looking at the shopping center that I visit every day. And I'm just like, this is nuts. No, it's so anyway. There's apparently a strong multiplayer component as well, and there's like still so much potential in this thing that I haven't even seen yet. I've just kind of gone through a bunch of games, but it's like holy shit, yeah, this is the next gaming thing, like for sure.
Well, then maybe I should get one too.
I think you should. I think our South African visitors or listeners might be interested to know just the process, so I can tell you. There's two options for the headset, and this is not a paid for promotion by Oculus. I keep
Shill!
damn it.
Get to have everyone say you're a shill on Twitter, like
Yes.
Oculus shill. Like,
I want more people to experience this. I think it's great. But I'll share sort of my experience in getting one. There's two models, 64 and 128 gigs. The part that just kind of blows my mind is that's all on-device storage. So like the headset holds all the game content and everything else just in it. So I got the 128 gig because I figured if I'm going to spend this much money, I may as well get the whole thing. $500. That was about 8,200 at the point where I bought it. So I don't know where the rand is now, but that's what it was. Shipping 720, customs 1,200. So the fully landed cost for the 128 gig model was about 10,200 rand ish. All in.
that's a good chunk towards a new gaming laptop, but it's okay. I can...
It's a good chunk. It is. But then like the box that you get. Oh, and the other thing is that they obviously ship it with a US type charger, so you need a converter plug for that. I just happen to have one, but if you don't, it uses a USB-C for charging. So if you're like a hipster, you can charge your Quest from your MacBook, which also only has a USB-C port. But you're going to need a USB-C power supply. And then, yeah, it's like you pair it with your phone. There's like an initial setup and a demo, and then you're off. So it is a big chunk of change. I mean, it's the one nice thing I bought for myself after like a year and a half doing freelancing. It's like my late Christmas present. But yeah, I mean, from here on out, the hardware is pretty good, and the software will keep coming. So, yeah, could be a good Christmas present, I think.
Yeah, I just might buy one then.
Yeah. Because what I'm keen to try is the multiplayer stuff, because obviously half of the reason for doing this is being able to network with other people, and then like play games together or do whatever.
Peak gamer. My God, we're actually living in that world now.
Yes.
So peak gamer, like.
Dude, you know what? Like for me, the kind of the peak moment was. Netflix has an app on there, and I think they did something pretty cool. If you fire up the app, it loads a virtual environment that's like a cabin in the woods somewhere Like it's a very kind of comfortable environment with a simulated like 200-inch TV, and that's where the Netflix app actually runs. So I literally there was a point where I'm sitting with a headset on.
Uh,
I'm sitting with a headset on, watching a Black Mirror episode about VR in VR at home. It's just like, this is it, boys. We are in the
this
TV
is
now.
this is what we've been waiting for. This is it.
It actually is. I mean, it honestly is. The experience is everything I thought it would be. I mean, it's just, it works. It's actually, it's, yeah. I mean, my whole routine now is like the full battery lasts about 3.5 hours for me. So it's just like every night I start playing games, I just don't stop. But the best one, like the number one game I would recommend for this at the moment is Super Hot. I don't know if you've ever played that.
What is that?
Super Hot's a very cool first-person shooter. The whole gimmick is that time only moves when you do. So like it's like this is this like level after level where there's like these enemies coming at you and you've got to kind of shoot them, punch them, whatever. But the gimmick is that the game only moves when you do. So you can do things like dodge bullets, like because if you stand still, everything else stands still. But in VR,
I
it's like,
think I've seen videos of this.
yeah, it's like
before.
very red and white.
Yes, I've seen.
Yeah.
Is that what it? Yeah, I saw.
But dude, in VR, oh my god, dude! Like the first time I played it, so in the game, like whenever they shoot at you, the bullets take a long time to travel because they move as fast as you do. But so many times, like your hitbox is basically where the game thinks your body is, so you can dodge bullets. And so many times you would dodge a bullet and then just kind of turn your head and kind of watch it fly past you, like Matrix slow motion style. And I can't explain how cool that is. Like, that's just, there's that, and then there's the actual combat, and it's like you get sucked into it, man. Like that game is just amazing. So yeah, this is it. 2019, we've got VR. It works. So yeah,
Nice.
that's my shilling done. That's part of where I've been the last 2 weeks. Um,
Nice.
Stuck in VR. Also, if you do end up buying one, just use Amazon's own shipping. My fuck, I regret using Amazon Global Shopper for this. Holy crap. They kept it
Really?
at customs for like a week and a half because they couldn't get hold of me to pay the clearance amount, except that I bought it through AGS and they have all my details. That's why the fuck I use the service, and they couldn't find me. I'm like, how stupid are you? And they charged me for the first half of it. They were able to charge me for the shipping, but the customs clearance, we don't have your details. Dude.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, guys.
Negative endorsement for Remakes Global Shopper. Like their regular courier service is great, but that one component, like fuck me. So no, just get it directly from Amazon. Because somebody bought theirs 2 days after I bought mine, and they got theirs a week before I did. And I'm still like a little bit salty about this.
Jesus.
Anyway.
Also, I see in terms of tech, was it Sony that didn't show up to E3 at all? Like
What?
Sony were just a complete no-show at E3 this year.
That's surprising. Is there no more PlayStation? Like, what's up?
No, they just it's like when you go to school and you just haven't done your homework. Like,
my dog ate my new exclusive.
yeah, they just didn't have much new stuff to show, so they would pretty much show. Nintendo was kicking ass and taking names, dude. Like that, and between that and Keanu and Cyberpunk.
Dude, fuck, the meme sphere was full of that shit. Like that one clip
Yeah,
of him with the metal arm. Like, oh my god.
I love the boomer version of that clip where he's handing you like a monster. He's like, what's the heavy shit? And it just says they're boomer.
So Keanu Reeves is in Cyberpunk. That's you know what? After The Matrix, yes, I can completely see why he would like want to be part of a project like this.
Yeah.
So when is it launching? When is Cyberpunk actually dropping?
Actually, when is the actual? I can't remember when the actual date is.
And also, like most importantly, is there going to be a VR version? Because that's all I can think about now.
This is why we need an intern on the show, so that they can like look up stuff for us. while we're talking. Initial release 16th of April 2020.
That's about a year out. Okay, that's
You thinking what I'm thinking, bro? Birthday presents, Cyberpunk 2077.
yes. There we go. We'll get each other a copy of Cyberpunk for our birthday. How about that?
Yes. Uh,
Oh, dude.
yeah. So that was a pretty cool tech type thing. That and Nintendo just bringing all the goodness. They're making a sequel to Breath of the Wild. They're remaking the Link's Awakening, the original Legend of Zelda, with better tech. Oh wait, sorry. Sony did do some little bit of work. They
Okay.
announced their remake of Final Fantasy fucking 7
I was ready for this.
again. I'm so pissed about this. Okay, hold on. This is where we need to like have a sign, like in like YouTuber videos, they like rant incoming.
Yes.
That's right now.
Beep, beep, beep,
Okay.
rant, go.
Okay, fuck you, Sony. I don't need a remake to Final Fantasy VII, and everybody's losing their goddamn minds about this. I don't understand. What is wrong with you people? Oh, but it is the best Final Fantasy. Why is it the best Final Fantasy, guys? Oh, because it's my first one. Well, guess what, jack off? If I could rebang every girl I've ever banged, I guarantee you, I'm not going to rebang my first one. Okay. Probably my last three, maybe, but not my first one. Final Fantasy is so fucking overrated. It's like fucking teenage melodrama. If you make Dawson's Creek into a fucking Final Fantasy game, it'd be Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry, it's not a terrible game, but there's just way too much hype around it. I even tweeted, here's a list of all the Final Fantasies that deserve a remake, more than 7. All of them. Every single goddamn one of them.
I have to. I appreciate how upset you get about this. Like, I can feel that energy of just like fuck off with your remakes, guys. I get it. Yeah.
And people are acting like I'm unjustifiably angry about. Am I really, guys? Really?
No, it's true. I mean, like, 7 was just. I think it was the first one that was like 3D. But even 8 had much better 3D than 7 did, like to like a embarrassing degree on the same platform, PS1. It's like 8 did it like a much better job. 8 went like kind of full anime 3D style. 7 was just like cubes. I mean,
and just okay. This is just my personal thing. Honestly, I find the characters in 7 kind of annoying. Like Squall is it's not Squall. Sorry. Yeah.
It's Cloud, isn't it? Like, Cloud is the main one in...
Shit, there's too many protagonists named after weather stuff in Final Fantasy. Lightning, Squall, Cloud. Anyway, Cloud is just like this spiky-haired emo block of wood. Like, why? I don't understand. Why does everybody like this?
Did you ever see... there was a feature film made in the kind of post-7 world. I forget what it's called now.
I think it was called Advent Children.
Yes, and that was like it was Cloud and I think Tifa. I think were like the two. It was kind of like that universe. That was I mean, I don't know why they chose to make that particular movie. I thought that was pretty cool, but it's all a lot better than 7. Also, isn't this like the second 7 remake they've done?
Yes, this is why I'm so infuriated about this. I'm genuinely angry about this.
Yeah. Well, at least, actually, you know what? Maybe it'll just turn out that 7's like defining feature in the history of gaming is that it's the one that they remade the most. Like, maybe this is their Star Wars. They will remake it every generation.
Yes.
Because we still haven't actually had... We've had a bunch of remasters and re-releases. We never actually had a remake of Star Wars. Not really.
No. No, we haven't.
It's like nobody wants to fuck with the whole Luke Skywalker thing. But the way things are going right now with like Hollywood and the work factor, in about 5 years, they will remake Star Wars with Rey playing the role of like Luke Skywalker, and they'll just like retell the whole story.
I was gonna say you can't bit for bit remake Star Wars. in the current environment in Hollywood.
Probably not. I mean,
They call it problematic for so many fucking reasons.
yeah, it's like, oh no, the empire promotes imperialism, and it's like, well, of course they fucking do.
Imperialism. Let's see. They didn't sign a million consent forms kissing Leia. Chewbacca's the only one who didn't get a medal, which is an allegory for racism. There's so many things you could go in woke on that.
Yeah, it's like the rebels blew up the Death Star and killed millions of people. This is just like the elite's disregard for the working class.
Yeah. Well, no. Blowing up the Death Star is okay because it's staffed by white men.
Yeah.
Or at least we assume they are because of their suits. Stormtroopers.
Actually, I can't imagine what a woke remake or like a woke anything in Star Wars would look like. I mean, especially not that first movie, A New Hope. I couldn't imagine that. So, but
Yeah.
Given the way things are going, like, you know, Disney owns everything now, and at some point they're gonna have they've. Dude, actually, I had this thought. So in the last couple of weeks, and I think I told you this already, I read through a book, Masters of Doom, the story of John Carmack and John Romero, and how they kind of built
Right,
software
yeah.
and released the first two games. And the part, I mean, it's like, it's a great book. I would recommend it. I mean, it really does a good job of capturing what the culture was like in the early to late 90s.
Okay.
But we've gotten to this point now where it's like Disney owns effectively everything in the Western Hemisphere with regards to mainstream culture. Like,
Yeah, dude, you can't escape the mouse. Like, it's done. You can't escape the mouse.
we're stuck in Meowschwitz. Now the problem,
Mouse shit. Archer. Did you just heard? New season of Archer coming out, by the way.
it's about time. I'll probably binge through it in like one day again. I guess the thing. But yeah, so like we're in this weird space now where it's like you can't really adapt culture that easily. Like someone made a very good point that the original, so I think, what was it? All the movies that Disney made, like up until like a point, a lot of it should be public domain by now. The first Star Wars books should technically be public domain given how old they are. Like normal copyright, as it applies to us normal people, should mean that the books written in like the 70s and 80s should already have kind of expired through that. But Disney keeps changing the system, renewing things, extending things, lobbying for it. So they kind of built this world where it's like everyone grows up on like one of three franchises. Like it's either like Star Trek, Star Wars, or something else. And then it's like, if you ever want to kind of adapt or remix or make new things out of it, you can't do that because Disney has the copyright.
Bingo.
And it's
Total
like,
hold.
yeah, and it's like, okay, so then when do we ever invent anything new? Like, I have a serious question about this because the crazy thing is we've never experienced this. Like, this is not something that we have a historical reference for. We've never had a single company have this amount of control over the copyright for so many characters and so many stories and worlds. And it's like,
You're right. It's like a total like OCP. It's an outside context problem. It's something we have no frame of reference for.
yeah,
Said.
because Disney's
Wow.
never going to die. And like for as long as Disney doesn't die, then there won't ever be a point where somebody can take like Star Wars and mash it up with Cinderella story and produce a rom-com. And even though that sounds like a shit idea, at least it's new. You could...
Hey, somebody will watch it. People are willing to rebuy Final Fantasy VII and rebuy fucking Vanilla World of Warcraft. By the way, they're remaking that, so somebody will buy that.
Our standards are that low, man. But the thing that triggered it is like, and this is kind of stuck with me, is that in that Masters of Doom book, there's a moment where they describe the sort of initial breakthrough, how they got computers to actually play games at like a semi-decent speed. And it kind of went into the detail of how Carmack designed what he called adaptive tile refresh. So just redrawing parts of the screen that actually had to change. And so what it meant was you could have a side scroller on PC. And this was like breakthrough because at that point only Nintendo consoles could do side scrolling. And so what they did, as an attempt to kind of prove the technology's value, they rebuilt the first level of Mario on the PC. And this is like mind-blowing stuff to get a PC to do at this time. And then they sent it to Nintendo and were like, we want to port Mario to the PC. And Nintendo politely declined. And I'm like, okay, cool. Try and do that shit today. Try and do that today.
Shit, dude. No, well, no, you won't. Because before the code's fucking compiled, there'll be a lawyer at your door.
Yes.
Like, literally, like, you before everything's compiled, it's like, sir, we need you to cease and desist.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay. I mean,
So,
like,
no, I mean, you're right, though. Like, just waxing off of what you said here, we've now created a system which actively works against innovation. Because the thing about innovation is that, like it or not, part of it is, taking a bit from here, a bit from there, mashing it up, whacking stuff around, seeing what works. And what you pointed out now is we've reached a seemingly unstoppable point where this is, or rather, a seemingly unchangeable state where you'll be disincentivized for that. And the state doesn't seem mutable in any way. Like, it's just...
especially on the pop culture stuff. And that's the part where it's just like, to me, this is interesting because I don't think we've ever really had this amount of commercial muscle behind a creative idea to the point where now the only way you can innovate is within the confines of what they decide is acceptable. And it's just like, it seems like weird to me. It seems like something that I imagine people like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and especially Cory Doctorow, I think, they've been banging on about this shit for years, about how copyright's being abused and, big companies are doing all this. But it's like, the truth is, like, you can't just write Star Wars fan fiction now, and the moment it gets any kind of traction, you'll have a phone call from a lawyer somewhere, And
it's funny, this is, because it's funny, it's funny you mentioned, because thinking about what you're saying now with the phone call, I saw yesterday, my brother showed me a YouTube video. I'm very much into Warhammer 40k, and my brother showed me a fan-made movie about the Space Marines, the Astartes, called Astartes. And Games Workshop is kind of bad on the copyright, but not as bad as Disney. And all they had to do was just remove any sort of markers or reference to a specific Space Marine chapter, and they managed to make a wonderful looking fucking movie about Space Marines in the thing. I'm like, that could never happen if Disney had their claws on that.
Oh, definitely not. And that's exactly where the really cool cultural stuff comes from. It's when people are so invested in a world that they will go and kind of try to make something beyond it.
Exactly. And they make amazing things. Like the Astartes movie was, I would expect it to be pro grade. Like, you could tell me a studio made this, I'd be like, cool, I'll believe that. Not like 3 or 4 dudes sitting around who really love fucking Warhammer 40k.
Which I think is the biggest irony, because like we've now all sitting on tools and software. It's like, for $50 a month, you can get the exact same software that every studio uses, the Premiere, the kind of the full stack. And you can produce work to the same quality. You're just not allowed to remix the most popular stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like you pointed out also at some point, our little meme review segment, like, we didn't need that's how low the barrier of entry is. Like, we didn't need an army to produce quote unquote a news segment, if you will, like.
No, we didn't. And it's just, this is all on my mind again after actually finishing that book, because I just, again, in it, like the early days of game design, like, there weren't, like, if your first experience building a game is Unity, you have no idea how privileged you are versus the people that had to, like, write all this shit by hand, build their tools by hand. It took, like, there was one part, because the first kind of side scroller they made was Commander Keen. And there's a whole bit in there about the artist they got to actually design the graphics. Remember that?
Commander Keen! I'm nostalgic hard right now.
So it's like, it would take that guy like a full day's worth of effort to fully render like 2 or 3 icons, that were like used in the game, like the lollipops and the pizza slices. And it would take like a full day for that. I'm just like, today's editing software is like, 10 minutes, maybe. Plus you can like do it in 3D. Plus you have an asset store. You can just go and buy that shit. It's like to try and develop with the constraints that they were under it just was like impossible. So it's, I don't know, all of this stuff is just kind of in my mind again because because I've been away from Twitter for 2 weeks. You see, it's actually good for me to not be sucked into
it. No, you haven't. You've been tweeting shit all the time.
But I haven't been getting sucked into it. That's the thing. Dude, there's so many things I haven't sent. Christ. So many fights I haven't started because I just,
Well, I'm in fights now because I don't want to go to. So that thing. Oh, you missed. Let's. Speaking of fights,
yes,
and that was a wonderful segue. You missed PVD beating down a kid because she looked at it. He looked at her threateningly, or something.
That sounds like PVD.
She punched some kid because apparently, and this is according to her word, she punched this kid because this family at the waterfront were looking at her threateningly and video recording her. And when she asked why, he said, "It's because you're black, footsack, you black." Now, that is vague. I still don't see that as an indictment to punch someone. And she said she punched him in self-defense. Here's the thing. Up until somebody hits you, it's not self-defense. They can say mean words to you, but up until somebody hits you, it's not self-defense.
That's a preemptive strike. I think she got her wording confused. So I think I remember something about this. Because she punched a guy. I did see like the story come up, and I think I might have responded to that. I did. And basically, I'm pretty sure she provoked that situation. I think she's the one who escalated, because everyone knows the V&A waterfront is basically the Weimar Republic 1945. You can't be black and in the V&A, right? The fuck? Of course you can. Jesus.
So that's the state of our political discourse, that elected officials are now physically attacking. And I mean, we've had this with the EFF as well, with journalists. And now the DA have elected top level officials punching their electorate, I guess.
I love it. Like the DA retains Cape Town, and then they send one of their spokespeople into the waterfront to punch a white kid for no reason. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, you're an adult. How are you punching a child?
I just like so much of that's wrong. But I had the weird feeling, and I told this to somebody privately, and I'll say it publicly. I think my conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat moment, there was the whole thing, I think, was it the chief whip, Steenhuisen? Was apparently put in charge of like updating the social media policy for the DA or something to that effect, because apparently they recognized that social media had an impact. And so the whole waterfront situation wrapped up with a V&A manager apologized to her. And part of me thinks that she went to the V&A just to start a fight because she had a rough day and she needed a white man to apologize to her for something. Like, I kind of feel...
Aside from her husband?
He's probably apologizing all the time. She needed like a stranger, somebody in authority. The whole thing is just fucked up.
That's a tasty theory, though. That's a good theory.
Because she's emotional, irrational. She's like, she keeps thinking people are out to get her. Like, she can manufacture her own demons. Like, she doesn't need anyone else to do that for her.
Well, so I mean, my take on this is: say everything you will about the Donald. Hate him as much as you want. He has never physically attacked a civilian, or to the best of our knowledge, because, they're like, get away, white man. He's got so much actual flack. People are constantly making fucking unflattering memes about him. Late night comedians all night, every fucking night, going in on this guy. He's never gone.
Oh, I should apologize for the break in transmission. You should just be aware that your network connection is a little bit shitty. Oh, I feel
the contingent of MAGA hat wearing beat people ever. He's actually quite against. Yeah.
Sorry, you should just know that you broke up in the last 20 seconds. I think your network's a little bit dodgy.
We good?
Yeah, we're back now. It could have been the NSA cutting you off mid-rant about Trump, eh?
Yeah, I see him. Yeah. I see him. Yeah. But, so, say what you will about him, but he's never fucking attacked people or dispatched, MAGA troopers to attack. But that's just the state of our politics right now. Between that and
Oh, dude, you know what? I think
Ramaphosa built down.
I think your Wi-Fi adapter's failing again. I think that's what's happening. You just cut out again for 5 seconds. I'm so sorry.
It could be the NSA. Actually, my connection's up. I seem to be losing signal. It's nothing but top level production here at the No Script Show.
Yeah, exactly. This is the quality we made you guys wait 3 weeks for. Thanks.
But I mean, between that and fucking Cyril Ramaphosa building a bullet train from Cape Town to Messina, like I don't know. I don't know.
Who the fuck was to go to Messina?
I don't know.
Just...
But
Yeah, dude, you're actually you're breaking up so badly now. I'm considering restarting this.
Promise half. It's bullet train from Cape Town to Messina. Here we go.
Oh, dude. Okay, you know what? I think you're being bandwidth shedded because every time you speak, it just breaks down.
Okay.
But you know what? Actually, I'm going to include all of that in the episode because this is what trying to do anything technological in South Africa is like. We're trying to talk about the 4IR and our fucking network isn't even up, like, reliably.
It's a beautiful, example. Like, bullet train from Cape Town to why?
There's no reason to do that. I mean, there's no major overland trade routes that necessarily need to transit from Cape Town through Beitbridge. Like, that makes no sense at all. Like,
but it's for IR, bro. Bullet trains.
It's a lot cheaper to use these things called boats and offload shit at Maputo and sail it to Cape Town. That's why the fuck we invented water, okay? Like, but you want to build a bullet train? No, come on, dude.
Yes. Well, it's no less. Well, there's that, and then on the American front, there's old Joe, good old Joe. You remember Joe Biden?
Oh my God, is he still around?
Obama years.
Yeah.
He's promised that should he be elected, because of course now the Democrats are starting to go in on each other. Should he be elected, they're going to be so good that they're going to cure cancer.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. You not. A couple of things here. Let's assume that that's true. If you know how to cure cancer or have a plan that you really believe is going to cure cancer, why would you make that dependent on you winning the election?
The first of many questions.
Being president? Like,
it's like, elect me or die, motherfucker. Like, that's the first thing I read out of that. That's bonkers.
But it gets even better. It gets even better. So that was, then I think on Thursday, the Donald launches his campaign for 2020 to make America great again and keep America great. And he's sitting there in Florida and he says, we're going to eradicate cancer. Not only are we going to eradicate cancer, but we will eradicate AIDS in the United States in the next 4 years. And we're going to be stronger and richer than ever. Like, are you serious? United States said, well, I see your cancer and raise you.
That's... But that's the whole thing. It's all one-upmanship. I mean, it's like, because the crazy thing is, last I checked, Trump was actually delivering on his promises economically. Like, unemployment is down, discouraged job seekers are down, stock market is up. I'm like, okay, just kind of keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, but don't promise.
But you can't campaign on that. You can't campaign on America is great now, expect 4 more years of the same. Even though that's what you need, you have to campaign on cancer, AIDS, and then, I don't know, athlete's foot. Like,
sorry. He also said lay the groundwork for Americans to start landing on Mars. Like, in the next 4 years, that's gonna be. Yeah.
Well, all he has to do is like carve out like $2 billion from NASA and give it to SpaceX. Like, that's all he has to do to make that shit happen. Like, Elon Musk
that's why
on that.
War. That's why I didn't go to war. He's taking that war funding and giving it to SpaceX.
SpaceX is about to like.
Good. That's
I'm happy with that. I'm happy to fund Elon Musk to build a Mars base. That seems like
yeah.
a thing that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a hard choice. We could kick around in this dust bowl and open another slow bleed war, or we could go to Mars.
Yes. And it's like at least when you're on Mars, PVD can't come up and punch you in the head for no reason. Like at least you've got that. So
legitimately psychotic. Like you're a grown adult, an elected official, and you physically attacked a minor. Like, I mean, yeah, he's a teenage boy, but still, you physically attacked a minor as a grown adult and an elected official.
there's no science to explain these people. I don't know. But I do love the DA's plan to win the next local government election. Start by just beating up white people. That's definitely a winner.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know.
But so you can stay here, or you can go to America, where they will definitely no longer have cancer in America.
Yes, no more cancer, no more AIDS, except, and this is unfortunately true, in order to get a US visa now, you have to disclose all of your social media handles, and then presumably they scan your profile for God knows what. But it's just like yet another thing, which is apparently it's causing hassles for everyone, like including big companies like Microsoft and all the game dev studios and everything. Because who knew? And this isn't even a thing I was conscious of. There is competition between countries for hosting conferences. Like big international conferences and expos and things like that. Apparently, it's a real logistical problem.
Huh.
If you're trying to put like 10,000 people in a room, and then the first problem is how do you get them onto the country? And the US just keeps raising barriers. So the problem with this is that if it starts restricting people from coming in and bringing like new ideas, new effort, new whatever, it would actually hamper America's ability to compete globally with things like science and technology and culture and all the rest. And the reason I say all that, I still want to verify this because it might not be true, but I kind of feel like it is, even though it makes no sense. I think Cape Town is still one of the highest ranked destinations for international conferences in the world. Somehow. I'm pretty sure that like paradoxically that's still the case. And it's just an interesting thing where it's like America is shooting itself in the foot with this border policy. It's not just keeping out the dirty brown people from the Middle East, it's also keeping out everyone who could show up and actually present something meaningful at a conference. So just another interesting small thing in the wind, you know.
Just I mean, off the back of that, depending on your political persuasion, I mean, you can pretty much at this point infer somebody's political.
Okay, wow, dude, this connection is actually breaking down really badly now. I'm really sorry. We're probably going
to. So in office, this actually there we go.
No, dude, this connection is breaking down too badly to actually carry on. It's been like this for like 20 minutes now.
Really?
Yeah. What's up with your Wi-Fi
adapter? It's actually USB Wi-Fi adapter that I'm using. And it says that my shit is high value. Like it says the signal's full, Wi-Fi is full. This is what we get for being out of practice for 2 weeks.
It is, and it sucks. And it makes me worried because I think that the last thing I actually want to mention is that probably the most important thing is that we're going to actually update the format and production of the show.
Yes, we are.
Clearly that update is sorely needed.
Do you want to expand on that a bit for everyone?
I kind of don't. Actually, I'd like you to. It's only fair that you break the news.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this to everyone. We may or may not be taking on some interns, as it were. Is that...
Okay. That's not what I understood. So hold on. When you say taking on interns,
well, not interns, but like sort of more regular guests.
There's a huge fucking difference between an intern and a guest.
I like to call them interns, okay? I'm calling them interns.
They're not going to do your work for you. Like, what?
It makes me feel better to call them interns.
I'm glad we clarified this because that is an extremely strange use of the word interns. But please carry on.
But yeah, we are in talks with a couple of people or friends of ours that will basically be to sort of avoid this sort of gap in transmissions is to sort of have interns, as I call them, or pivot hosts or whatever. And basically what would happen is that every now and then it will be myself and Wogan, or it could be myself and one of our sort of pivot hosts, or Wogan and one of our sort of pivot hosts. Still the same vibe, still the same everything, but pretty much just occasionally, if one of us isn't able to make it through, then at least you get your no script fix for the week with a slightly different surprise guest.
Okay, it's a very roundabout way of saying that we're going to have more guests and the co-hosts will rotate, but I'll take it. That is definitely one way to put it. So I guess the short version is that up until this point, all the actual production work and recording has taken place on my end of this, and for a bunch of reasons. Mostly it's just that I wanted to get to a format that actually worked for what we're trying to do. We've got that now. Yeah, and other than the enormous break in transmission the last 2 weeks, and that's actually what inspired this, because like the sort of work that I do sometimes means that I can vanish for quite a long time, just into my work, and I can't drag the show down with me. So we're changing the way it works. We're gonna get Odin over here set up to record, produce, and broadcast. And we're probably going to bring a lot more people on over the next 6 months, pretty much anyone who'll have us. I was also thinking, I do wonder what would happen if there was only one of us to record the show on a weekend and there were no interns, as you call them, available. I wonder what a 1 hour no script show monologue would sound like.
That is interesting. It could just be me ranting about how much I hate Final Fantasy VII.
Special episode. We'd like to permanently demonetize everything to do with Square Enix. Like, we're just gonna do this once.
Yeah. No, we're going to retroactively and future demonetize ourselves in one rant. Like,
exactly. Like, you're just gonna destroy all the show's commercial potential in one shot. It's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, this whole show has kind of been almost like a Twitter review / South Africa's online water cooler type thing, and
which
the thing
we love,
which we do, and so like we're gonna draw this pool of guests / interns. I still don't like using that word, but we're gonna. But I guess interns. I guess interns should apply on our Discord server. And it's pretty much just this, because I do like the idea of hearing from more people and more perspectives more often. Yes. And also it's actually pretty fun to do these. I mean, you don't prepare shit. You just kind of, if you vaguely know what's going on in the world, and you are okay to talk about it.
Cancer. And hearing cancer.
Yeah, and we also, we actually use Discord for recording, so it's perfect. Like, the moment you're in the Discord server, you have everything you need to participate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll start next week. I mean, we need to get you set up, and then we'll drop more details in the Discord server. You can find that at noscriptshow.com. Just look for the blue Discord button below the big SoundCloud widget. To join us.
And I'll be on my normal connection, not this crappy Wi-Fi. So
you're gonna have to fiber up for this, unfortunately.
The connection is actually fine. It's just, as you know, second garage / study room area, and that's where I record the show when I'm at her place. So
you see. Odin deliberately picks the area with the worst possible connection. It's like, are you secretly trying to sabotage these episodes?
Yes, I'm that asshole. That has been my objective.
Your long game.
Yeah. All this it's all been a a long ruse to build up an internet show and then destroy it.
That's about as much logic as being mad at Trump for not going to war with a bunch of people that couldn't defend themselves.
I mean, come on, man. Really? That's what you're mad about?
I'm like, okay, we live in a world where people are mad that he's not dropping bombs on people. I'm not entirely sure that I took the VR headset off last night. Maybe I'm still in a parallel universe where none of this stuff makes sense. Oh,
Dude, I don't know. I've got nothing left. So yeah.
So we're kind of, we've reached our hour, but there is one more topic I want to bring up because it is quite new. And I figure that given that it's been like 3 weeks, we may as well go a bit longer.
Yeah, let's give you bonus content, guys, because that's our penance. Let's just send PVD on us.
So how about like the fact that in the last week, Facebook launched a global cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is back up above $10,000?
Oh yes, let's get in on this. Actually, you know what? You start. You start. Let's get in on this shit. Good God.
I just
Really bad takes on Twitter. I loved it.
all right. So the Bitcoin thing first. I saw. Okay, the cryptocurrency industry press, for lack of a better word, the people that are role playing being actual news sites. There was an article written about Bitcoin's spectacular recovery, and those exact two words stuck because it's an intrinsically worthless digital commodity. There's nothing for it to recover. Okay.
It's a speculative tool.
Yes, and it's like you look at the price chart, and it's like in the space of like 3 hours, the price like shot up from 7,000 to 10,000. Like, yes, that's organic. Okay, for sure. That is organic growth. Bitcoin's fundamentals are strong and they had good earnings. What the fuck? It's obviously a pump and dump. like so obvious. But anyway,
my favorite is my favorite is the Facebook one, like the takes on the Facebook crypto.
So yeah, the Facebook crypto is where I really got to get into it because first of all,
Can you please just tell people that there is a difference between Bitcoin and a very heavily regulated Facebook? Like,
yes, I'm going to get to that. So first off, negative shout out to Jonathan Witt for once again demonstrating he doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about.
There's a thing called a negative shout out.
Yes. No, but because he tweeted and a bunch of people are saying the same shit, like, oh, all the people that told you Bitcoin was bullshit are now going to be okay on Libra, and the implication is that they're a bunch of hypocritical idiots. In reality, Libra is so fucking different from Bitcoin, it's stupid. But that kind of take really irritates me because if you're going to dunk on somebody, at least know what you're talking about when you do it. That grates me, like, fundamentally. So Libra is different in a number of ways. Number one, it does not share any technology with Bitcoin. Because people they use Bitcoin like Americans use Kleenex to describe face tissues. It's the one brand that they know, but they use it to imply everything. So it's like people have gone, invest in Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. No, dude, no. Okay. Libra is not Bitcoin. It does not share the same chain. It doesn't have the same governance model. It has a association or a consortium of people that have to pay to run the validator nodes, and I'll get to that in a sec. They've already got a wallet. They're pegging it to a fiat currency to keep it stable, and they're working with the regulators and the banks to make it happen. Every single one of those things is different from Bitcoin at a fundamental level. Like, it's just a completely different product.
Thank you. Like, I'm just so aggravated by this. Like, why do you not understand these things are different?
And because they both technically are cryptocurrencies and have distributed ledgers doesn't mean they're the same fucking thing. You cannot perform dentistry with a drill that goes through walls. Yes, they're both the same tool. They're designed for different things.
Thank you.
Anyway, okay, so the core differences are this. Libra is designed to be a currency that maintains parity with the US dollar to within about 20% of its value, meaning that one Libra token should always be worth anything from 80 cents to $1.20. It's never going to moon rocket like Bitcoin does, right? Because it's designed to be a stable store of value. They can't have it be wildcat speculative. Cool. Second thing, the blockchain that underpins it. What makes Bitcoin unique, I guess you could say, I mean, even though all the clones are the same now, any person can run a fully validating node, which is a fancy way of saying you can take your computer, plug it into the network, and have it do the job of running the transactions on the network for which you receive a reward. That's called permissionless. You can go right now, download the Bitcoin software, sync up with a chain, and be a fully validating node. Awesome. Libra, completely different. To be a validating node, you have to join the association, pay a $10 million deposit, and then they have a list of requirements. Things like half a rack of storage space, a minimum amount of bandwidth in a biometrically secured building, belonging to a company that's a recognized, Fortune 500. Like, they've put these limits in so that the people that can actually run the critical infrastructure are known, trusted, and have skin in the game. It's not just any rando with a PC on the internet. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Which means that the 51% attacks, the ganging up of mining resources, the constant arms race for faster hashing, none of that applies to Libra because they're building it with a closed group of people that run the validating nodes. So, okay, cool. Then there's the onboarding experience. Facebook has the pull globally through their advertising business. They already have the infrastructure where they're taking lots of money from people and small businesses in many countries around the world. You should be able, in theory, I haven't gone through all the detail, but I can see where they're going. You should be able to on-ramp into the Libra ecosystem by sending an EFT to like a regular-ass bank account. So it's about the same onboarding process as Luno. The difference being, Facebook has an actual marketplace for the token. You can't buy shit with Bitcoin. And you can't. And it's like...
I'm sorry. I guess I'm just in awe that you actually have to spend time to explain this to people. But
I know.
continue.
But
Anyway.
it's complicated. And the thing, and again, this is why people like Vit and that attitude upsets me. There is so much information here. There's so much context that you can't just flat out dismiss the whole thing as saying, oh, they're being hypocritical, or oh, it's a scam. No, there's a shitload to know before you can actually make that call. So anyway, the big thing, and this is why I'm personally I'm in favor of this working, which, and again, I'll get to about, Facebook privacy, that's a whole other load of bullshit. But I'm in favor of this working because Facebook does have the biggest connected marketplace outside of China worldwide. They have 2.5 billion people. Like for instance, a Libra ecosystem means that I can work in South Africa, produce something and sell it through a marketplace, not Facebook. I don't have to use Facebook. I can sell it through a marketplace and get a token that I know for a fact I can cash out locally, whose value won't swing like crazy. And that's the one thing about Bitcoin. It's not stable. It's not stable enough to use for regular transactions. So then there's the Facebook and privacy thing, and this is like the last thing, the last bad take. It's like, oh my God, Cambridge Analytica, but for money. And it's like, no, listen, there is an enormous difference because
you're actually continue.
Okay.
We're actually explaining this to you. Sorry.
Okay, so Facebook is not 5 people in a room. I just want to kind of start with the fact that Facebook is an enormous company. Let's just start with that. Among other things, they have deployed internet infrastructure. They've designed drones to deliver shit. They do all sorts of crap. I mean, I know that you only think of Facebook as the thing on your phone, but there's a lot more to it than that. Now, Facebook isn't running Libra, and this is like the one thing that I wish people would get. Facebook has developed the technology and they've created the association, but Facebook, the entity, despite being the brains behind the operation, has the exact same voting power as everybody else in the association. Anybody with half a server rack and $10 million can join the association and has the same voting power as Facebook. Now, in that association, you've already got Coinbase and Square and a couple of banks and some technology incubators and a whole bunch of other people.
Oh.
Everyone has an interest in seeing the network function. So it's not as if Facebook can't fuck this up the way that they screwed up on the data side for your information. They can't. The one downside, and the one thing that I will say, yes, this is one valid criticism. It's a blockchain, okay? So coming all the way back to Bitcoin, the whole purpose of a blockchain is that every transaction is public. That's how it's built, and it's built that way for a very good reason. Libra will be exactly the same. Every transaction is public. To onboard onto Libra, yes, you have to KYC, know your customer, so submit government ID somewhere to join the network and open a wallet and all the rest. Cool. This does mean that there will be somebody who can link your identity to your transactions, and your transactions are public. So anything you buy through Libra is public by design. And a lot of people would look at that and go, oh, that's kind of horseshit. I don't want everyone to know what I'm buying. And that is the one valid reason not to use it. But, big but, the whole world is going this direction anyway. But the whole Bitcoin 2017 price rise plus Tether's kind of fraud plus that whole thing has pushed along everyone, and like everyone's involvement in creating global financial policy. That's a thing now. There are companies that cooperate on common reporting standards and financial intelligence to the point where they're trying to de-anonymize the flow of money worldwide. Libra kind of leapfrogs 20 years of that and just gives you a currency that you can use. But if anyone's able to link your real identity to your pseudonym on Libra, they can track all your transactions. And this is the interesting part for me, because for the most part, I don't think that really matters. But I mean, it's down to the market to see how they respond to it. And Facebook's involvement lets them directly mine transaction data to reinforce marketing profiles. And that's where people are raising the red flag, and that's completely fair. If you transact on Libra and you onboard it through Facebook and they're able to tie the two together, they can see your full transaction history. And as much of a red flag as that is, I would say relax, because Visa's been selling them that shit for years anyway. For years now, credit card companies have made that data available for mining, for marketing purposes. So in reality, Libra is nothing new. It's a public blockchain that can be traded for real money through an app that you onboard with a government ID, and everyone can see your transactions. That's exactly what Bitcoin is. It's just now that Facebook's brand's attached to it, people are freaking out. And it's like, well, no. It's same, but different. Very fucking different.
Same, but different.
Same, but different. So yeah, look, you're not going to get rich by holding Libra tokens. They're not going to go to the moon suddenly.
God, I'm just sad that you actually had to do that monologue.
No, and it's like I'm happy to, because like I just, there's this guy. There's two people who have defined my experience in crypto. One of them was a guy who asked me once, "How do you cash out?" And it was an interesting question because it made it sound like Bitcoin was a casino. Which it actually is. But then like I told him the only way to get your money back is to sell your Bitcoin to somebody else. And he was like, okay, cool. And then the money comes to my bank. And I'm like, yes. And then off he went. And I don't think he grasped what I was explaining was the greater fool theory, that if you're sitting on Bitcoin that nobody wants to buy, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do with it. So that was the first defining moment. The second one was in a Ripple chat room, and Ripple fanboys are the worst. Swear to God.
Really?
Well, at that point, IOTA were the worst. Ripple was like a little bit above them. But
I think crypto fanboys in general, well, some libertarian crypto fanboys are just wow. It's just anyway.
Yeah. So like there was an article that got posted. So the whole thing is that crypto prices are kind of indexed to good buzz about the coin. Like people were buying and selling it based on the news, not based on whether or not the coins could do anything. So there was a lot of noise made where some bank agreed to use Ripple software. I think it was Xcurrent, one of the two, Xcurrent or Xrapid, one of them. And people were like in the Telegram group at the time, like, wow, this is going to be good for Ripple and we're going to the moon. And people are getting all pumped. And I'm just like, I posted the question, well, I looked up what the product actually does, and it's a messaging system like Swift, which is like for secure correspondent banking. But at no point does the product actually use the XRP token. And Ripple said that on their site. This is just a messaging product. The token is used somewhere else. And I posted in this group, and then this guy tells me, no, I'm wrong. I'm like, what do you mean I'm wrong? It's literally on their website. Like, no, you should do your own research. You don't believe. I'm like, dude, I just did. I went to Ripple's own fucking website, and they said that this product doesn't use the token. So owning Ripple, the token, wouldn't actually net you any benefit because the product they sold was completely unrelated. And the guy's like, no, I'm wrong. And I'm like, I don't know how to communicate to you that the people that built the fucking thing have explained how it works. So I'm out. And the thing is, and it's like,
okay,
it's ignorance and exuberance and incompetence all rolled up into one. And this is why I get upset about this, because there's a lot to know and there's a lot that can go wrong. And I'm always happy to share what I know and learn what I don't know, but I cannot deal with people who just assume that they know how this works. And I just, on this one thing, but specifically, is I don't know why it's this topic. Maybe it's the libertarian in me, but I just in general like, no, crypto is an extremely complicated thing. And if you're going to take the little bit of info that you think you need to make yourself feel good about diving in, I guess it's like go for it. Best of luck. That's all I can say. Anyway, so we'll have to now see when Libra actually goes live globally. I think it's probably in the next couple of months. And then it'll be a competition because Facebook will have Libra and Telegram will have their open network token. And there'll basically be two social networks with cryptocurrencies competing. Should be fun.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
I apologize for that rant, but that happened like a couple of days ago, and it's just been on my chest ever since.
No, you needed to. I'm glad. I'm sad that you had to go on that rant, but I think it'll correct a lot of people out there. And this isn't you saying I know better than you all the time, and it's not me looking down on people.
It's just like I usually don't know better, but I do know enough to go to the website and read what they say about the product. I'm at least capable of that. There was I think it was a TechCrunch article. They dug out all the logos of the people in the association and put up like this chart. It's enormous. And it's like, okay, clearly the power has been diffused here. It's like it's not like Facebook is. It's just amazing. And then, of course, I think the most recent thing was that the regulators responded, we cannot allow Facebook to have a sovereign global currency. And I'm just like, oh my God, okay, they're in for a fight because the regulators don't understand it either. But again, that's nothing new. That's always been the case with crypto. So,
well, as our man Alex Jones would say, it's part of the New World Order to control every one world currency. Tired of them making currencies turn frogs gay.
Dude, it's like we're within striking distance of this. This is the part that like just fascinates me. Like I always thought if it was ever going to be like a one world currency, it would be like the UN or somebody. No, Facebook, a social network, has been the driving force behind this. And just like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, like at the end of the day, the best reason to do this is that if they can get people to buy, food, shoes, movie tickets, tickets to events, whatever, if they can get them to buy that on Facebook with Libra, it would give them perfect insight into people's purchasing behavior and would let them sell even more ads. And that's what it's about for Facebook. But while they're doing that, they could potentially create a currency that is actually borderless, while actually being secure against all the problems that Bitcoin has faced. So, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
This is the future, man. We're living in it.
Damn time. Oh, one quick mention. If you guys have ever listened to Joe Rogan's podcast before, you should definitely listen to this week. It's because he had Bob Lazar on it. I don't know if you know who Bob Lazar is.
I don't.
He is the famous Area 51 guy. He was the first scientist to defect from Area 51.
Oh.
And he's very different from the others and conspiratorial theorist guys, because just listening to it for 5 minutes, there's two things that stuck in my mind about this podcast, this Rogan podcast with him. Firstly, based on his description, like the government has hounded him for ages after coming out about it. I mean, his fucking educational and birth records have been erased, etc., etc. But
Wow. Okay.
but I picked up from talking to this guy that he very much didn't want any attention. That's the one thing I picked up. And the other thing I picked up is that he was only willing to speak on very specific. And again, I'm not saying everything he says is true, and
Mm-hmm.
Area 51 is all that. But I mean, first of all, he's an actual physicist that went to MIT and shit way back in the 60s, whatever. And the way he describes it is very compelling because he's not talking about some sort of weird, vast government conspiracy. He was just very much focused on talking about what tech he worked on supposedly, and he said, this thing was being worked on, and lo and behold, 20 years later, we could do this thing. So I'm like, of all the conspiratorial things, like he's very much a tech guy, and he's so focused. His story has stayed the same through the years, and there's a documentary on Netflix about it, Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers, and he's just very precise about what he talks about and his fears about it and all that. I'm like, this is probably the most compelling story I've heard from a supposed guy who worked at Area 51. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I think I remember this from a very long time ago. There was one of the kind of more nutjob conspiracies was that the reason Hollywood was making so many movies about aliens was to desensitize us so that when aliens actually showed up, we wouldn't freak out. And it's like, okay, haha, interesting take, probably bullshit. Now we're at the point where reality is so fucking broken anyway. Like, I'm pretty sure you could land an alien in Times Square and it would be like perceived as a marketing stunt. Like, we're at that point.
Yes. I mean, I won't go into the details, but his description of tech, I'm like, this could explain how they were able to backwards, reverse engineer some of this tech that they derived from this. I'm like, very compelling. And the thing that scared me about it is that he basically said, because he was working on propulsions and energy and all that, he said they appear to have some form of, the one thing he said, they appear to have some sort of ball energy reactor thing, and I'm very uncomfortable about working on it, he said, because we don't know what this thing actually does. It somehow manipulates gravity. And he said, imagine us dropping off a portable nuclear reactor in Victorian era England. Their best scientists couldn't know what the fuck radiation was. Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of scary if what he says is true, that if they have this small gravitational manipulating reactor, our best scientists couldn't tell what the fuck that thing does. So yeah, it's a little scary.
There's my contribution to this topic, I'm just trying to remember the name now. There's actually a documentary on Netflix. Let's go look it up quickly. It's one of the driest. I think it's called Unacknowledged. I'm pretty sure this is the one. Let me just double check. Yes.
Aliens in Times Square.
So yeah, there's a documentary on Netflix, Unacknowledged, an expose of the world's greatest secret. It's the driest, most by the numbers alien documentary I've seen in my life, and it kind of, I'm pretty sure if you watch that and listen to the Joe Rogan thing, you might start seeing some parallels between them. Especially because one of the things Unacknowledged was that the claim was made that aliens have landed and the government has access to their technology, but they're deliberately suppressing it. Sort of because of all the ongoing investments in big oil and everything else. And I remember hearing that like many years ago and thinking, that's bullshit. And now that I know a bit more about how business and economy, how the economy actually works, that makes complete fucking sense. Like, there is a lot of money that OPEC would pay to keep something off the market that would disrupt their ability to trade oil. The incentive is there. Like, it is. So
I mean, if you've got a reactor that space, that kind of blows oil as a energy source out of the water.
And it's like that argument always goes down to like, but why would they do that? Because oil is dirty and this new thing is cheaper and faster and cleaner. And I'm like, okay, cool. If you've leveraged yourself and taken out like the equivalent of a 20-year mortgage to pay for an oil rig, and you've kind of all in on producing this oil, and if you don't do it, you're going to be ruined, and someone comes along with a technology that can defeat that,
Right.
Would you just stand there and let it happen? Probably not. So it's like,
Yeah.
I can see the economic incentive argument for suppressing technology, or trying to
Yeah.
at least make it difficult, So it's just like, yeah, this is an interest. I'll probably give that a listen, just because this
Yeah.
kind of stuff always interests me.
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, his description of everything is pretty much like I just thought when I heard him talking about it, I'm like, this is precisely what a scientist like if he actually worked on stuff at Area 51. Like he only talks about the tech implications and what he did and tried to look at it. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Oh, why not? You see, so this is where the No Script Show can eventually go. Anything from tech to the obligatory sex robot mention, because I have to do that as per my contract. Just mention the fact that they exist.
Well, I already did make a mention of high school and banging girls, so
Yeah, so we take that all the way through to like cryptocurrencies and alien conspiracy. You see, like the next season of the No Script Show is going to be great.
season next season we're gonna start making merch. God, I should not say that online.
There's nothing we. Maybe, like, I don't know.
I really hope that doesn't mean we should do it. Roman, if you're listening, just tell me if I'm legally required to make merch now. Just let me know, bud.
I don't know. I don't know what the requirements are to create merchandising for anything. I'll just keep it that way for as long as I can afford.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
No, you've done it. I'm burning. Okay, I'm going to hang up right now. We're done, guys.
Smash that subscribe button.
Fuck. I'm over this now. I'm going to just hang up the phone. Thanks for listening. You can find us at noscriptshow.com or on Twitter at noscriptshow.
Cheers, guys.